Hey everybody, in this video I wanted to share with you another experience that I had dealing with ghosts and at an abandoned old house. So this one is what I like to call the Herbert's house, the old Herbert's house. So I'll just go ahead and get on into the story. Okay, so it was me and a few friends, and we had been hearing about this other place. I'm not going to mention the road or the house or anything like that, just for privacy. But we were hearing about this place being haunted. There was a cemetery, an old road, and an abandoned house. Right when we get to the house, the second we walk in the door, we start noticing all these like Jesus statues and like Jesus pictures and all types of memorabilia, Jesus and Christian related. So we knew, like, okay, you know, this is kind of different, because normally, you know, you don't see someone's house decorated with that much Jesus and memorabilia stuff. You just normally don't. I mean, because there was so much. So when we walked in, you know, you could see it was like a living room. There was only like 4 or 5 rooms in this whole house, and when you walk in, you walk into the living room, and in the living room it has like a couch and a chair and like a middle coffee table in the center, and just like the pictures and stuff on the wall. So that's that. And so we noticed that, and there was also this orange chair that was blocking the kitchen area and the living room, because it was like you walk in, it's like the living room, and to the left was like a bedroom, and in front of you was a kitchen, and then to the left of that was like another room. So it was only like 4 rooms in there, and no bathroom. I mean, no bathroom at all. So and I'll explain something about that in a little bit. But anyway, so okay, the kitchen. There was this orange chair, like kind of like a recliner chair. We'll just say that, but it was like cloth. It wasn't leather or anything, and it was blocking the door from the kitchen and the living room area. So we were like, you know, we didn't really think anything about it. So we scooted it over and went on through the kitchen and continued on through the other room. Now in the kitchen, it was really strange in this kitchen, because it looked as if someone had been there, or it looked as if this place was set up like no one had been there in a while, but it was still left like someone had just left, because there was like an old Pepsi can sitting on the kitchen table. There was like a fork and a spoon and a knife and like a plate or something, and some type of a lid to some type of a jar or something. I don't really remember what, but so we saw that, and I remember talking about it and thinking, you know, this is really strange. You know, why would all this furniture and stuff just be sitting here like this, like someone lives here? But everything around looked like it was all from like the 80s, so it was obvious someone had lived there in several years. So anyway, we make our way to the other room, the bedroom, and we're like looking around at everything, and you know, there's a mattress, there's a bed, there's a mattress, and there was like some old shoes. There was like some old shoes sitting there on the floor. So, you know, we didn't really know, you know, what that was about or anything like that, because there was so many. There was like probably at least 20-30 pairs of these 80s style shoes. Okay, so in this other room, we look over to the left, and there's like these 2 doors that are like pushed together like this, and there's some type of a string hanging there, so they're like tied together, blocking something. And so of course this gets really exciting, because we're like, you know, we gotta open this up, we gotta see what this is. Very interested in knowing what's behind those doors, or if anything, or what it is and how to get to it. So we decide to go ahead, and one of my friends decides to open it up. And so he takes the string and unties it, and we open. Okay, so gotta get back on my train of thought. Somebody was at the door, so I had to go get that, and it kind of messed my concentration up. But anyway, so there was these 2 doors that was probably like this, and so we cut the string, and because it was just like a little string or a shoestring or something like that, tying it together. So we clip it and open it up, and we notice there's an attic back there. So we were like, this is getting really exciting, because it just had like one of those doors up at the top that you pull the string down, and you know, the stairs come down and stuff like that. So we're thinking, we've got to check this out, and we've got to know what could be up there. So anyway, we opened that up, and I'm like, well, hey, hold on just a minute. Let me go set the board. I'm gonna go ahead and go set the board up, you know, because we at this point we still had everything in our hands, you know, because we're just in there kind of walking around, just checking this place out before we start setting things down. So I still had the board in my hand. So well, let me go put the board down, and let me get all this other stuff out of my hands, drinks and all that. Just Cokes and stuff. That's what I meant by drinks. because we wasn't out drinking and getting drunk or anything like that, doing ghost investigations. But anyway, back to the story. So I go in there and I set everything down on that coffee table in the living room. And I look up and, oh my God, that orange chair that I said that we had originally pushed over to get through the kitchen was back in front of the door again. It was blocking this door. And, you know, this was getting a little freaky because I was like, hey guys, did y'all come back and move this chair? But I knew no one had because we never heard it. We had all been together. It was about 4 of us this night. You know, I'm just sitting here kind of looking at this orange chair like, you know, really trying to think like, now I know we moved it back. I know we scooted it over. Something's moved this. Something has pushed this back in front of this door. So, you know, I didn't really think anything of it. And so we went on back and started to, one of my friends was like, hey, I'll get on up there and, you know, see what's up there. So he decides to climb on up those stairs. So he does. And he gets in the attic. And he has a flashlight. And he's kind of just looking around up there and starts yelling to us, hey, there's a bunch of boxes and paperwork and looks like records and books and like some clothes and rags and just a bunch of stuff's up there. So we're like, oh goodness, this is going to be interesting. Because, you know, the first thing that's going through my mind is I really want to check this stuff out. I want to get this stuff down and I want to check it out. Okay, so he's up here in this attic and he starts talking about all these boxes and things. And so I'm like, well, hey, if they're not too heavy, would it be okay if you could bring one down? And he's like, sure. I'll go ahead and grab one up. And so he did, and he brought it down, and of course, I'm excited and wanting to check this out. So I began to, you know, open the box up and start checking this stuff out. Now, when I opened the box up, the first thing I saw was a bunch of letters, like letters written to someone. Okay, so there was some magazines, there was some letters like a diary, and like newspaper, and just a bunch of little, like, you could tell this was like a memory box of someone's, because it had a bunch of things in it that you wouldn't think someone would want to throw away or get rid of. So, and of course, that's probably why it was in this attic. But as I opened up one of the diaries and was looking at some of the letters, everything was dated from 1949 to about 1953. So we knew that obviously no one had lived in this house for an awfully long time, or it might be that Herbert, you know, grew up in this house, or his children grew up in this house, and those were things of his children. I don't know. I can't remember the girl's name, and if I did, I probably wouldn't say it either, but there was a girl's diary that I got really into reading, and, you know, it took me a little while to read it all through, but basically the diary talked about, you know, like boys that she liked, and things that she'd go out and do on Friday nights, and, you know, this was really a fun and interesting thing to read because, you know, it was dated back like early 50s, and I really am a fan of older and antique stuff, vintage antiques. I really like stuff like that, so it was really interesting to read this diary. Okay, so we went in there and we started playing the witchboard. And so I decided I want to ask the spirit or ghost, you know, if there was anyone here that has a message, or if the stuff that we found was something of meaning or something that we need to know about. So when I asked it if it's okay if we look at this stuff, it went up to yes. And then we asked, is there anything you would like to tell us? And it spelled the Herbert man's first and last name. That's how I knew that his name was Herbert. Anyway, so he spells out Herbert and his last name, and we're all just kind of looking at each other like, you know, I wonder if this is the guy that we're talking to, if this is the father of the young girl's diary we found. We don't know at this point, but so we just started asking it if there's anything else it wants to tell us. But, you know, really it just kind of kept spelling its name, and we asked if he was buried nearby, and it spelled yes, and it told us the cemetery name, and that he is buried there. And the cemetery is kind of on the first of the road. When you pull on this road, it's kind of a small little 2-lane road and real country-ish, but you pull on this road and there's the cemetery. When you go down maybe a couple miles, there's the cemetery, and then you go down maybe another 2 to 3 miles and the house is there. So we're thinking, wow, I wonder if he really is buried there. So we wrote the name down and decided we would go back to this place at a later date and see if he is buried there. And and that's a whole nother experience in itself, and a whole nother story, and a whole nother video. So what I will do is go ahead and finish this one, and then I'll make another video on our return back to that cemetery, because it's quite interesting, if I must say. So we're still sitting there and we're playing the board, and all of a sudden we hear this sound come from the kitchen. It was some kind of a rattly sound. It wasn't just like one sound. It was like I don't really know. It was more kind of like something had dropped and rolled, and so we were like, oh my goodness, what's this? So we decide to get up and go look. And when I went up and got up and to look, that Pepsi Coke can, or yeah, that's not a Pepsi Coke, it's a Pepsi can. Okay, so the Pepsi can that was sitting on the table had fallen over. Obviously, I don't know what happened to it, but when we went in there, the Pepsi can was on the floor up against the wall at the other end of the room. So obviously what we had heard was that can fell over off the table and rolled over to the other end of the room. So I was like, well, let's go walk around the backyard. I wanted to see what the backyard looked like. So we go on back there and start walking around, and we saw this big old shed type thing, and realized it's an outhouse, or better known as a shit house, from back in the day. So that was really funny. So we had our little giggle over that, and then we're just kind of looking around, and then I look over at the back of the house. Something draws my attention to look over there, and I see this huge black spider on the wall of the back of the house. Now this spider, legs and all, was like this. It was probably about like this big, legs and all. So the middle part of it, the body part, not counting the legs, was probably like this long. I mean, this is a huge spider. So I decided I wanted to take a picture of this spider, because I was just like, this is a crazy big old looking spider, so I wanted a picture of it. So I took a picture, and didn't think anything of it. But after I got those pictures developed, when I got the pictures developed, I saw something in the picture. I saw the spider, but yet there was also some sort of a misty, clear, kind of a ghostly-like thing, like mist type design going over the spider. And I have a picture of it. I'm going to show it to you, but I may have to scan it. That's the spider, but you can't really see it in this picture, because there's a spider, and then this is all that white misty thing, and this was like like a back door that was like sealed shut, so you couldn't go out of it anymore. But anyway, like I said, I'll go ahead and scan this, and we'll attach it here. Okay, so after you've seen that photo, I'm not sure what to make of it, but if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments box. But anyway, so really, that was just a pretty crazy night, and can't exactly say exactly what went on there, but there was definitely a presence, and definitely some sort of something going on there. Now, we did go back to the house a few other times, and like I said, I'll make the other video next on the cemetery trip, when we went back to the cemetery to find the headstone of the Herbert guys. I guess that's it for this story. I appreciate everybody watching. Blessed be.